Shall we begin? Let's begin.
Let's get this thing in the water. Hello, and welcome to On the Patio with Mr. D. Hey, we've got a whole slew of product reviews and kayaking tips and tricks and photography uses on a kayak, and especially on an inflatable kayak. We're going to be reviewing all these different products and these different kayaks and where to go and what to do and how to play with them and all that kind of stuff like that. So, hey, we're going to get started here shortly, but before you do, please, if you like our videos, subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. So, hey, we'll be back in just a bit.
Let's begin.
Hello, and welcome to On the Patio with Mr. D. Hey, I'm in off-season now. I live in Florida, and July, August, and September, oh my God, it gets hot out here. So I don't do any kayaking or anything like that, or none of my photography stuff out on the water. And I kind of shut the season down. Now, this past season, we got 11 issues of Paddling Places Florida done. I was pretty proud of that. And one thing I do when I look at all the videos and kind of do a review of the season, I find out what I can improve. What can I fix? And one of the biggest problems that we have out there, anyone that films on lakes, rivers, canals, stuff like that, is glare. And that is the one thing that I experience all the time. Most of you know I'm running 4 and 5 cameras at a time on my boats or kayaks out there, and I experience a lot of glare and a lot of sun spurs. Now, the reason I get the sun spurs is, as you're paddling down a creek or river like that, your sun may be behind you, but as you paddle, the sun position based on your position is going to change, and it may be right in your face. And depending on where your camera is positioned, it's going to pick up a lot of glare or a lot of bright haze or whatever the case may be. So I was thinking, what can I do to fix that? And I've done a lot of research on different things, and I found out that maybe these filters here might work. But the problem is trying to find them that would fit the GoPro Hero 5 Black and one of my sessions. I was able to find a filter system that had a universal 52 millimeter filter system on it, because I didn't want it to be a fixed filter in case I want to change it out. And I'm finding out that faders on the GoPros really don't work that well, but the CPLs do. Now, your polarizing filters really knock out a lot of glare. And so what I wanted to do was just to test a couple of these and see which ones work, which ones don't work, and kind of share that information with you. So I'll be doing 2 field tests out there. I actually did a third, but I actually scrapped the unit. It was a really nicely designed silicone-based cover that would go over the top here, and it had the filter was here, and it was a CPL. The only problem was it wasn't a threaded filter, and unfortunately the glass or the filter itself was horrible. It did a horrible job. And it's by Photodix. I was very disappointed because I've bought a lot of stuff from Photodix in the past. This is the first time that they've actually failed, and I was very disappointed. My biggest problem was to find one for the Hero Session that would mount with the case on it. because all my stuff has the case out there. Now, being this is a waterproof camera, you don't need a diving case with it up to a certain amount of feet. I wanted something that would connect right on the case itself. And after a lot of research, I found one from XC Source. And this is the unit right here. Let me get these filters out of the way so you guys can see what's going on. All right, this is the filter system right here. And you can see it has 2 set screws, 1 on each end, and then it mounts right over the top of the case. Now, what I'm going to do is go ahead and mount this one for you and show you what I'm talking about. And it's got a little wrist strap here. You can either keep that on or take it off. It doesn't matter. But what you do is you just kind of get this to where the little set screws are loose enough to fit on the case, or over the case, I'm sorry. Basically what you do here is you take your filter frame, you slide it over the top of the case with the GoPro Session. Just knocked a set screw out. That ain't very cool. Okay, then you take the supplied Allen wrench and just kind of, don't tighten them way down. You don't need to do that because it fits pretty snug without the set screws anyway. And just basically cinch this up, and there you have it. The filter system is right on here. The CPL really works well, and it's all depending on glass. Let me tell you, if your glass is bad, you really got problems. So what I did, just to be sure, is I went and bought a 52 millimeter kit from K&F Concept. Now, they gave me a UV filter, absolutely worthless. They gave me a nice CPL, and it works really good. And they gave me a fluorescent filter, which I know I won't use. Then they gave me a fader. Now, I tried this fader. I really can't get it to work with the GoPro Hero Session. I haven't tried that on the Hero 5 Black yet, but I'll get to it. Now, one of the things I found out right away, getting this one from XC Source, is that it really worked well. I was surprised on the glass quality of the CPL filter. One of the things you're going to have to do before you launch is to get this where you want it set, because it's going to be away from you. But once you get it spun where you want it set, it really works well. It's going to knock that glare out and reflective stuff off the waters and really give you some more supreme shots. So the one for the GoPro Hero Session, which is the xcsource.com filter. Now I had to find it. I found this on eBay. I couldn't find it anywhere else. Like I said, I went through PhotoDix. That one failed. I sent it back. This one really works well. I like the way it mounts. It mounts pretty solid. It ain't going anywhere. So hey, we're good to go. And they give you a UV filter, which I'm not going to use, and then a nice lens cap, which you can use when you're out there, protect your camera. The next thing I ordered was from Sherwoo, and I did some research on this one also. Now this one I had to do a little modification for. This is made out of aluminum, and it has 2 of these little tabs right here. And that's for hanging string on them, wrist, you know, keepers or whatever. And one of the things I found out, if I wanted to mount this on my gimbal, because it wouldn't sit flush. It would sit on an angle like that. So what I had to do with this particular one, I took my Dremel out and I ground down this tang here. Let me get this. Allow me to take the strap, and it would sit and then set the filter flush. So if you're going to use it on a gimbal, you're going to have to take this little piece of material off to make it work. Now to mount this is basically the same as the other one. What I do is make sure the tang, where I ground it off, is over on the LCD side, And I just basically just push it on. And this filter system is already mounted. The reason I went with 52 millimeter filter systems on both of these is so I can interchange them. If I'm using a fader, and the fader works better on a Hero 5 Black than it does on the Hero Session, but I can change the filters out as need be on both cameras. Now, this one, I field tested this. You're going to see field test 1 is where I take this out and field test it, test the glass. I did it here at poolside, then I also went out in the field. And I also did field test 2, where I took the Hero Session out and did the same thing. Like I said, the only problem I had, and it's going to be a question that you come with, when you're putting it on your gimbal, one of the things you're going to run into is interference from that little tang thing. So if you want to run it on your gimbal, which you can, I've been very successful getting it on the gimbal. In fact, I can go ahead and mount it on the gimbal right now. Get this where it's all set up basically like you would normally without any filters at all. Just go ahead and get it strapped down. Okay, now the gimbal is actually ready to rock and roll, but there's no filter on it. Now, where I took off that excess tab right here, you want to make sure that that's over here. Now this will only go on 2 ways, okay? And to eliminate any vignette, that's why you have to do that, because it'll raise the filter up, causing an angle on the filter. So when you're ready to go, you power up your gimbal, and your gimbal is rocking and rolling with the filter on. There is no weight image here because I had to worry about the weight, so it was well within the tolerance of the weight, and the Hohem gimbal with this filter system works great. All right, so here we go with the field test of the Sherwoo CPL system mounted on the GoPro Hero 5 Black. Questions were asked about, will it work with a gimbal? As you can see here, it's mounted to a Hohem gimbal, and it works exceptionally well. Let me kick over to the application real quick, and as you can see, we have no problem whatsoever. It'll go up and down and everything that you need it to do. And then working with the CPL itself, as you spin it, it's advisable if you're on a gimbal to hold the 2 motors to give you the stability so you don't hurt the gimbal. Now I'm spinning you can see the glare coming in off the water, and then I'm going to just take it right out, and there you go. So it definitely works. The CPL system from Sherwoo for the GoPro Hero 5 Black. Its field test worked good. It's not a very high priced item. I tried the other one for the Hero Session from Photodix, and it failed miserably, so I've got another one coming in, and we'll be doing a field test on that later. So hey, this is part 1 of a field test. We'll be back on the next one. I'm here with my buddy Donnie. Now what we're going to do today is a field test on the GoPro Hero Session using the XC Source polarizing CPL filter mount system, and we're going to see how it knocks out the glare here. So the CPL filter from XC Source and its mount system for the GoPro Hero Session really works well. So this concludes the field test for the Hero Session, and we've already done the one for the Hero 5 Black. So they work both really, really well. One was from Sherwoo, and the other one is from xcsource.com. We'll see you in a little bit. Well, we finished all the field tests, guys, and I got to admit, I was pretty surprised where I could run a filter system on my two GoPros, the Hero Session and the GoPro Hero 5 Black. Running CPLs actually knocked a lot of the glare out that I was hoping to achieve with this product improvement, I guess you could call it. I won't know 100% sure until I'm out on the water at the season's beginning on this next year coming up. Now, the next year coming up to me means middle of September, first part of October of 2018. But I call it a seasonal year for me. So anyway, so one of the things I noticed right away when I bought the Photodix is having non-interchangeability of filters made this a one-shot pony, or whatever that phrase is, and also their glass was really substandard. So the Photodix, I loved your design, but it just didn't make the cut. So I was able to find the xcsource.com is where this is from, and I found this system on eBay. I couldn't even find it on Amazon or some of the other places, and I liked it because it would fit on the case, and that was the important thing. It needed to fit on the case right here. Now, will it fit on the camera by itself? Yeah, that's another feature. But some of the ones out there, and I want to caution anybody that's thinking about picking up a filter system, a mounting system for their session, some of them are just made to fit on the camera itself, not on the case, so be careful. That's what I was looking at. So when I was looking at the photos of this thing being mounted before I purchased it, I saw that it was mounted on the case, and it's done with 2 set screws. They give you the Allen wrench that you need, and you get a CPL filter, and you also get a UV. Now I won't be using the UV out there, but hey, you never know, maybe I will. And lastly, the filter system from Sherwoo. I love the mounting system, but to make it operational for a gimbal, you're going to have to grind off that extra tang on the side. But after that's done, the filter will sit flush and you won't get any vignette. When I first tested it, it was resting on that tang with the crossbar, and I was getting vignette, and I had to pull the filter system up and away from that clamp to where it would sit down, and then I was getting some distortion from the lens. So you want to make sure that this thing sits flush against your glass, and other than that, hey, they work great. So here are my 2 new modifications for my Season 3 Paddling Places Florida. I'll be using these CPL systems out there on the water. We'll see you on the next one. We'll see you on the next one.